here again.
Yeah, I know.
Well, not here, but with you again.
Yeah, last time we did the podcast, we were actually on the other side of the world in Guatemala, San Marcos.
Yeah, literally other side of the world.
Yeah, so happy you're here in Estonia right now in my studio.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Let's start, for the people maybe who haven't even heard the first podcast. Let's just say a couple of sentences what we were doing in Guatemala and how has the journey been. We were talking there about the fear of coming back to the European society and how has this journey been for you?
Well, in Guatemala I was just traveling. It was 9 months. 6 months Mexico, 3 months Guatemala. And the purpose of that travel was to just kind of log off in a way of this Western society and kind of go deeper into me, find something that really fulfilled me and understand what I really want to do in life in a way. And I found that, if you look to the other podcasts, I really felt connected to myself, my true essence, my heart, my inner child, whatever you want to call it.
Because you were doing a lot of workshops and the quiet retreat. And
exactly. And also different journeys with shamans and different stuff to go deeper. Exactly. The silent retreat was really helpful. And then we had this conversation about how is it going to be when I come back? How is it going to be after being 9 months into a total, in a different world, different society? I mean, you've been in San Marcos. It's something I have not seen that in Europe yet. Yeah. It's a different
Definitely
world.
Not.
It is different universe, different dimension, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
A vortex of energy, and getting out from there, going back into known society where you go back to your known patterns, the patterns that, the past patterns that I had. How is that going to work? And, I have to say, when I got back, the first couple of weeks was like a slap in the face in a way. It hit me hard. I'm like, what am I doing here? Why did I come back? What am I going to do with my life? Because all these old patterns, old behaviors, all these things came. It was cold. I was staying at home a lot. And there I was surrounded by people 24/7, hugs, love, and here it was everybody's working. I want to do something, but everybody's in their normal life that I kind of unplugged from and came back, and I wanted to kind of keep that energy going, but alone, it was not that easy to do. I ended up realizing this, some of the topics that even we were talking before about doing these habits and routines and stuff is from detoxing, when I did my phone detox or semen retention and all these things, is I've noticed it's because you don't have this type of love, or at least I didn't have this love that I wanted. All these things watching Netflix or just doing things for momentary happiness, it becomes an addiction in a way because you're running away from these feelings.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of noticed. I'm like, okay, this is not good because I cannot go back into this old type of way of living, spending a lot of time in this, well, not in this world, in this reality right in front of you, but kind of distracting yourself from what's happening in you, outside of you, and all these things. So yeah, and then
I think that's a good point, because in San Marcos and when you're traveling, there's so much more connection to the true self, because there's so much less distractions. And it's we were discussing it, I had the same fear of coming back to Europe. But you went to Switzerland because you live there, right?
Yeah.
I just want to make it clear. And but yeah, it's this question, how do you stay connected to yourself in this society when there's so much going on and work going on, and there's not so much connection with other people anymore. How do you real connection? I'm not talking about social media or you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was what I was trying to figure out, and I did a small trip to Barcelona or Spain and went to Valencia to do another 3-4 day retreat where I'm like, okay, let me just kind of feel that feeling again and kind of maybe go from that feeling back into it, which kind of helped and worked. But I realized it's hard when you have people with old beliefs that you had similar beliefs before them around you, because then it becomes easy to fall into that. It is the same as you're smoking a cigarette or something, and then you have friends that smoke cigarettes and you quit maybe, but then because friends are smoking, you're around it all the time, and then you're like, okay, when you're drinking maybe something, you're like, okay, let me just get that cigarette, you know, because today I feel a little bit of tipsy and I will have that cigarette. And these are like things, you know, if you're surround yourself with the old behavioral patterns that you had with people, you kind of sometimes drop into it. So then I was like, okay, I gotta leave. I gotta do something where I can, you know, understand what's going on. And that's one of the reasons I was also in Tallinn. Like, you know, I reached out to you, and we made it happen. And Tallinn has been really, really like big on like this teaching, like of learning and now integrating back into society and understanding, okay, where am I going? What am I doing? And yeah, that's been very helpful.
Well, that's so cool. Like, tell me more about it. Well, you've been in Tallinn now for 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
Today is the 16th, right? 2 months on the dot. I came on the 16th of August.
Wow.
2 months on the dot, yeah.
Nice, yeah. Well, you didn't plan to be here for that long, but life happened.
Yeah, I told you when I came here first, I was like, oh, this is just Switzerland, like European country, like cold. I'm like, do I really want to be here? And then I met amazing people. I got into amazing communities and was able to host men's circles, join drum circles, cacao ceremonies, like my type of people, my type of vibe. And that really, you know, changed my perspective of Estonia and Tallinn. And I was even planning for a while to stay here maybe through the whole winter and like go next year, you know, when in the new year. But plans change and I'm leaving tomorrow. Because I want to, like, I have this energy of execution right now from everything that I've been doing and building up. And it's like, I want, like, the warrior wants to go to battle. He wants to attack, you know, like he wants to go. And I want to honor that and go. So that's what I'm gonna do now. But yeah, Tallinn was amazing. It taught me a lot.
But how was it then? Like, can you bring out some of the things that helped you, like, integrate here? Or not, like, how did you get into your power?
So for me, meditation helps a lot. Like, I meditate every day. I try to meditate every day. And that really, you know, it depends on my mornings usually. And what really helped me, and I've talked about this before, is like semen retention. And for people that don't know, it's like when you refrain from ejaculating your creative energies in a way, because sexual energy is creative energy. And if you use that in a way too much, you can become in a way depressed, because it's like this sudden, like what I was talking about before, this sudden raise of happiness, and your hormones, dopamine and whatever the hormones that are, I'm not sure which hormones are released in this moment, but they, you know, they spike, you're happy, they go down, and now you're down again. And you want to, you know, get that again. So you get into this bad habit, you know, be it like pursuing women, like just for the pleasure of it and everything, or like having masturbation or whatever, that self-pleasure, all these things. It's like, you know, just to kind of get away from that. So, and it's very normal in our society today, you know, to just use that sexual energy and not really think about it. So when you start refraining from this, it kind of shifts you, because not a lot of people do it. So just that psychologically, that is already a big thing, because you're doing something that not everyone does. It's the same as getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning or taking cold showers. It's psychologically, you know, okay, you're doing like better than 90% of the people, like, you know, or different than 90% of the people, which makes you, I don't know, you feel better. And then like semen retention, for example, for men, you get spikes of testosterone. So the first 7 days, after the first 7 days, you get a spike. And then it kind of starts dropping. And then after 30 days, you get back to that high spike. So from 30 days on, you have like a really, like that, one of the highest possibles you can have through semen retention. So that means, you know, you have more testosterone, means like more muscle, more like energy, more everything. Like you become more man in a way, you know.
That's why I have this warrior power now. Go and execute. But is it like, does it go on for longer, or is 30 days like the recommended period to do it then, or?
So 30 days is like I said, after 30 days you reach that. So as long as you keep it, you have this, right? And I've done done it twice before. 90 days was my max what I've done it. Consciously, like it felt right. And I listened to this. This time I'm not sure. Like I've thought of 90 days would be enough. I might go more. For me, it's just like, whenever I'm doing these big shifts, it helps me to really focus, because you have more energy, like I said, more mental clarity. This gives me more, like I work out and I'm more determined to do my routines and everything, because this is a big thing, like if you do things like this. And just going back maybe to what I was saying about the spike, when you wake up, you are, you have like this level of happiness or energy level, and people, take stuff to spike it, like for example coffee, or like I said, sexual energy, like having sex, different things to like kind of spike it for a momentary, like watching Netflix or whatever, to spike their happiness, or be on the phone, scroll through like the likes, dopamine and everything up. But the thing about that, it always drops back, because you spike it higher and then it drops back. You spike
and then
it
you
higher.
need it even more,
Yeah.
It's like increasing to get the same level of happiness.
Exactly. And the thing is, the key is what like cold showers and like cold baths and working out and breath work and all these things do is like basically you're putting stress on your body, which actually drops it, but then it rises back. So what you're doing is like you're maintaining this level, or even raising that level of energy and happiness throughout the day, by putting yourself in these body stressful situations, like cold showers or something, like a moment of stress. But that like spikes it back up because you've been through the stress. So you can use that to kind of regulate that. So refraining from like on like, it's not refraining from sex at all. Like I still like practicing semen retention. I still have like sexual relationships, but it's about like not ejaculating, and that's also like something, a tantric practice that you can do. And it's like all these things.
But how is it, because it's so interesting, like I know that for men, well, today's topic actually for us is talking about men, because you're holding men circles and like you have experience in that, and thank you for doing the work, because I feel it's so important to like raise up like masculine knowledge and like spread divine masculine energies. Thank you for doing the work.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing it here in Estonia. That's so nice.
I was not expecting at all when I came here to do this.
But like I think this semen retention is like also a concept for a lot of men that is like, it seems it's hard. Like we're talking about it here like it's some kind of easy thing to do, but like it's so fucking hard, right? I'm not the guy, like, I mean, you're a man, but at least that's what there's a lot of beliefs around it, that it's like so hard thing to not ejaculate for some time.
Yes, it definitely is. Like people, well, we talked about this in the men's circles too. So I know from people that shared, it is something that people are not used to, because a lot of the time, that's a mindset thing that changed for me now. And that is that sex is not about having that last moment of ejaculation or like that last orgasm. It's about the whole journey, like anything in life. It's about enjoying the whole journey.
Exactly. It's about the process.
Yeah, it's about the process, and it really is. And sex, especially, like if you learn to enjoy every moment of sex without no tension in body, because sometimes there's tension in body because you want to like achieve this goal or achieve this point, and you want to satisfy your partner or whatever it is, but not knowing like the actual satisfaction comes from surrendering and just feeling whatever comes in that body. You don't have to be always like 100% aroused. It's okay to have these fluctuations of arousal for men and women, and
I think that's so important.
Yeah.
So take away the stress, because men are under a lot of stress of performance, right?
Exactly.
It's like, and it shows. For women, like, it doesn't show. For men, it's like, oh, I'm not having a hard on anymore. Like it's a problem, right? So it creates so much tension. I think it's so important to like, normalize it.
When you mentally have this thing of, fuck, I need to perform.
Yeah.
Like I need to get there. Or I need to like, be able to like pleasure my woman.
Yeah.
And I'm not manly enough, in that sense. And this is also in the King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, is the lover part, where if a man doesn't feel manly enough, he's not going to perform as a lover in a sense. And so I think from the conversations I have, it's difficult. I talk with friends about this. It's something, because I know like when we were young guys, like I'm 31 now, but I'm talking about when we were 18 or even younger. And, when you start experiencing and experimenting with your bodies and everything in that age, it becomes such a normal thing. And it is so normalized through movies and everything. You know, you see that like in a movie, a teenager, you know, it's so normal that like all these high school movies and everything is such a normal thing to do that it becomes normal. And people talk about it as a very normal thing to do. With, you know, pornography and everything, all these things that comes along with it. And,
oh my god, if I could delete pornography industry, I would so do it.
Yeah, but it's I think it's the most profitable industry online.
Yeah,
like
so damaging though.
Yeah, and you know, nowadays, like, I'm not trying to hate on anybody's hustles or everything, but you know, like all these OnlyFans and all these things coming out that is like, you know, making it accessible for young guys to like get to these things very easy from their room and feeling these energies that are like not in real life, not cultivating the energy to actually feel it. And so I back to that, like guys having it stressful. Yes, it is something. It's not easy to do, especially if you do it like on a daily basis already. It's hard to not do, because sometimes your body, you know, for example, one of the things is like Andrew Huberman, I don't know if you know him. He talks about like biohacking your body, and one of the things, like the first thing that you do in the morning is that which you'll do during the day to bring back to the happiness. Because when you go out and view the sun, for example, or you meditate or you do breath work, anytime during the day you can go back into meditation or breath work and you feel that amazing, blissful, centered, grounded state. Now, if the first thing you get up in the morning and you masturbate, for example, or you know, have anything associated to
or open Instagram.
Exactly, anything it is, you know. But I like talking back to the semen retention thing. It's like you're addicted to it because your brain thinks that's how you want the happiness during the day. So then you end up maybe going more for that during the day, be it coffee, be it Instagram, be it masturbation. It's all like in the same thing, you know, like. So yeah, that's why it becomes hard if you don't really refrain from it.
But is there like point where it gets easier? Like, I don't know, is it more difficult in the beginning, or how do you keep men like going? Or is it okay to do it just for 7 days if you're starting, or how?
You can do it as long as you want, right? Like if you're like, say somebody that's doing it twice a day already, for that person it's already good if you can do it for 3 days and then every 3 days, you know. And there's different studies upon it. Like some people say that, you know, depending on your age and your testosterone level, you can do like every 7 days you can like have a release. Some people say the older you get, you should hold it longer. So because the testosterone levels drop when you're older, so you hold it for maybe 2 weeks or whatever it is. So I had a really good coach. Like he was one of my mentors in a way, where he made me, like, I've heard about this thing, you know, it's been online for a long time, all these different terms like NoFap, PMO, and all these things. But I never really, you know, practiced it myself till I got to this acupuncture coach in a way in Switzerland. And he taught me also breathing techniques and just meditation and all these things. And one of the things he would tell me is like, if you come to my sessions, you're not allowed to have sex the day before and the day after. So like I need 3 days of no sex. And he would always tell me this. So if I would go, like sometimes I go 2 to 3 weeks, so I cannot have any sexual relations for like 1 week. So I was dating someone at this time, and I was be like, yo, listen, I can't, sorry. And she was really like, that's also something, like it's hard for a man to do it if the woman is not supportive. Yeah. Because there are women that, you know, because we're trimmed for that, like that, getting to that end goal of sex. And also for women, you know, if you've witnessed it like that, it's like not a successful session in a way, or like successful endeavor. So it's sometimes hard. Like I remember back then it was hard because she didn't understand it, and she felt like it was something that made her
insecure. I guess it's because of the beliefs. It's like, oh, am I not, I don't know, good enough? Why is he not like, you know, reaching the high point? Because I have understood that actually, like, without ejaculating, it's the pleasure for men is also so much longer and deeper what you're experiencing.
It is. You can have full body, like men can have full body orgasms. I've had this before, and it's amazing without having to ejaculate. And that's what I mean. Like the woman has to also be conscious of this and be willing to experiment and willing to go on this journey with you if you're dating someone. So it's easier to do a semen retention if you're not dating anyone. Yeah. Because then you can pull through without having that temptation in a way. But it's nice and challenging and rewarding if you can do it with a partner. That's what I realized.
But like, what keeps you going? Like, where do you get the motivation to do it?
Well, I've done it twice, like I said, and it's always been shifting for me, because it's like it kind of lays the foundation to me to build other things on top. Because like with my routine, you know, like right now, every morning I take 2 to 3 hours, and I can listen more to my body because I feel more into my body. But it's a combination of everything. It's not just this. It's the fact that I also am striving for something, or like, you know, I have an intention. I have a bigger mission, a purpose in my life. And this adds to it, because now you're not using this energy to waste time, energy and everything on this, like on something meaningless. You're putting into something meaningful. And even the relationships I'm having, they're more meaningful now because of this, because there's more deeper understanding of what I'm doing. So the person that is with me is also in a way supportive to this. So it makes me in a way feel more of a man. Like this masculine energy comes more and more, and I think it's also the testosterone, and you work out and that adds more testosterone and everything. So it just makes you more, you want to
more grounded,
you
and
can
more,
just go, you know, like more
powerful in your power.
And that helps me. And just knowing, experimenting, like I love to see what life brings, you know, and how can I maximize and reach these things that I want to reach playfully, because this is playful, but this is fun for me. I'm experimenting, you know. And I talk to it with my best friend, for example. When I reach goals, I'm like, bro, look, I did 30 days, I did this, you know. It's like playful, it's like a game. It's not like I'm not stressing myself out about it.
Yeah, I think we can't do those things under stress, because they're already very challenging. Like you need to kind of like make it fun, or, you know, do it with ease mindset at least.
Definitely.
But you said also that you did like a phone detox. How was, like, tell me about that experience. How has this helped?
So I did it on the 1st of October. I started it. It's for 7 days. Where I was already, you know, almost 30 days into my retention period also. And I just felt more and more like distracted by my phone. Like I felt like I'm wasting energy again there, you know, like because I mean, if you get into the habit of getting your happiness, or whatever you want to call it, like these spikes of dopamine from scrolling, or even like just sharing memes, you know, with your family. Like I told my sister after I did this detox, like, hey, don't send me any memes, please. I'm gonna block you if you do. Because we send so many memes, and she sends me like every day like 5 to 7 memes, because we have the same sense of humor, which is fun. But it's like, you know, because you watch one meme and then you go into this rabbit hole of swiping, because it's like the next one comes, you know. So I noticed this, and I did the silent retreat, and then I had 10 days no phone. And that was one of my best times in my life. And I noticed it's not just because of the meditation. I mean, it was a combination of everything, the energy, the people, the place I was at in a forest with the river. It's amazing. But one of the biggest factors, I think, was for me, without being on screen, like no phone, no nothing. So first I wanted to do a screen detox. So no laptop, no phone, no TVs, no nothing. But because I was doing the men's circles, and you know, I wanted to kind of stay connected, because I wanted to also book the flight, and like I had a lot of things that I had to do. So I'm like, let me just do a phone detox, which was pretty cool, because I didn't have internet where I'm staying at, and so I need to, you know, use my phone as a hotspot to like use my laptop, which I couldn't either. So I went to bed earlier because I had nothing to do at night. Like I'm not on watching YouTube videos. And the same thing, I could get up in the morning and I'm not going to my phone, because there's no, like, my phone was gone anyways. I put it in my carry-on bag. Like I didn't see it for 7 days. Like I didn't want to see it. And the computer was there, but I couldn't use it at home. So I'd have to go to a cafe. So it was an intentional way of using it. And this way, you know, I was being very much more productive. I was like trying cooking like new recipes, just, you know, like being more at home, and like, okay, let me cook a healthy meal. Let me do some, I don't know, some new, like I tried a dessert, which I messed up horribly. But I just tried different things, you know. It was like being a kid in a way. And also like watching more. I would walk the same streets that I usually walk, but I saw more. because now I was more observant of my surroundings because I'm not in my digital phone.
Yeah, it's like when I hear you, it's like you become much more centered or much more present in yourself and with everything around you. Like you don't have this constant distractions anymore. Like it really changes your state.
Definitely. Definitely. Like I would advise everyone to do it. The thing is, we think we need to be reachable. We think it is like today in this society, or like, you know, a phone is such a must. But I like the only thing, like I would say, like they call it dumb phones. Like the smartphone is what we have. Dumb phones are like the old Nokias and everything, where you don't have much apps and everything on it. And I think I would prefer to move in this direction, where I use my phone more as a laptop, a computer, where it's in my backpack, where I need it, I pull it out and turn it on, but have like, because I want to be reachable for people, like my friends and my family and people. So if they can want to send me a text message or call me, they can. But I don't need to be reachable on WhatsApp every day, 24/7. It's okay if every day I take 2 hours out of my day to be like, okay, from 10 to 12, I'm reachable. And at this time I'm on it, so people know it. So every day, if they message me, they can wait the next day for like, they don't need it. Like today in society, it's like, you know, we need right away messages back and shit has to be done so fast. And we're like living in this productive, you know, high performance society. Yeah. High performance, high distraction, everything. So I just realized that like being on there is like, wow, like that was a really big realization for me. Like you don't need it to be happy. I was still able to meet up with people. I was still able to do things. I still had a really amazing life, but I didn't need the phone. So it was pretty
even
cool.
Better because you were much more centered and like.
And I also started working out. That was something like that I added to on top. Started working out, feeling better in my body. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think it's so important for people to do it. Even just if people can't go like 7 days without it, like just do sometimes, you know, in the evenings after your work hours, like. Just try how much more time there is with yourself and less distractions for our brains.
See, I think if they would do it like abruptly for maybe even 3 days, it doesn't have to be 7, but it's like, you know, you go away from it. So now it's not in your daily life anymore. And then you reintroduce it back into your life. And then you could reintroduce it back in healthy ways. Like right now, I'm on my phone maybe 3 hours a day. Before this detox, I was maybe somewhere in 6 hours a day. You know, so I've reduced it by half of it because now I don't have my phone everywhere. It's sometimes even turned off because I know I don't need to be reached all the time now. You know, and in the morning I turn it off after I get up after 3 hours or something. Like today I turned it up earlier because I wanted to reach you about this podcast and everything. But usually I like at 2 o'clock or something. I'm like, nobody needs to reach me before that. Like, you know, it's this attitude has changed after this. So it helps me with these things of like, you know, even at 9 p.m. if somebody wants to do it, be like, okay, after 9 p.m. I'm going to put my phone away. You can do it like this too. But sometimes if you're like hooked to it, you'll find a way like, okay, no, maybe tomorrow. yeah, I'll do it next day, you know. Today, okay, 9:30 works. Like you become more like playful with your boundaries. And this helped me like really set boundaries and understand it.
Well, amazing. Very good habits. Because, yeah, I believe that today it is a problem, like you're saying. We're always going for the spikes of the hormones of like feeling happy, but it's such a trap. Like what needs to happen is for us to get much more centered in ourselves. It's not so much. That's why all the anxieties and all the, you know, depressions, everything is happening in this world because we're so disconnected. And like there's just so much going on, and then there's like we're looking for those spikes all the time, but we're so lost in them because they're not actually helping. It's all like an illusion. And then it's like drugs, you know, you need more and more and more to have the same effect. So it's like really,
it's definitely a drug.
So many drugs out there. But yeah, it's good that today you see there's a lot of men circles happening, women circles happening, breath, like it's getting like much more accessible for people, like all the meditation practices, breath work.
It's much needed nowadays. I think that's why it's also getting more accessible and more available because people are in need of it. At least I can tell through my social media and everything, like, you know, people reaching out to me and their interests, that it's actually there. Like people want, in a way, guidance or leaders or people that they can follow kind of show them the way, like make that first step. You know, somebody always has to make that first step. So I think it's really amazing for people like you and other people, me, like that are doing this first step. You know, and I love meeting people like this because they understand, like, you know, how powerful that is, and I just love also co-creating with them, and that's the type of people I met here too in Tallinn, and that was amazing to see, like, you know, everybody's like kind of on the same mission in a way.
Yeah, that's amazing how like you start gravitating like the people in your life that are like on the same vibration.
Yeah,
like I still amazes me every time, but I'm so loving it. But let's go more into your work now that you're doing the men's circles. Like, how has that been? How is the experience? Like, okay, let's start from why are you doing them?
So why I'm doing it is, like, I've been to a couple in Mexico and Guatemala, and I loved it. At first, I'm like, what is a men's circle? Well, first I got to know women's circles, and because there was not even men's circles where I was. And then, you know, there was like once in a while men's circle. So I'm like, okay, I need to go check this out. What is this? And I actually got motivated by, I don't know, in Guatemala, if we talked about my psychedelic experience.
You can share.
So, you know, one of the things, it was amazing actually, is when I had my first experience, it was in mountains in San Jose del Pacifico in the state of Oaxaca in Mexico last October, like 6 weeks after my 10-day meditation, like the silent meditation retreat. And like I was alone, I was like with the shaman, and he did all these rituals and stuff, and then he left me in the nature to be with myself, and kind of said, look, you'll like, the plant will tell you what you have to do, just feel tapped into it. And I feel I'm very, like, you know, tapped into the energies around me, so I can like listen to a plant, and I know what it's telling me, I can feel it. And I was going through these different emotions, like everything hit me, and all of a sudden I had this feeling of, I'm the king. So that was the first time I had this like feeling. I didn't know about all these teachings or anything that I'm like saying now. I just had this feeling of, yo, I am the king, like I am the leader of my life. Why am I sitting in the passenger seat and not taking control of my life? You know, that was the first time where I was like, I saw myself a little bit further away, and I saw like how much greatness I have to offer, and every human being has this, but I saw it in myself, you know, like, oh, this is me. Everything I admire from all these people around me is in me, you know. That's why I admire it in other people, because it's in me. It's the mirror effect. And it's also the same way around, like people that annoy you, it's usually something that's inside of you that you're
but
annoyed
it really
of.
depends on the perspective. I have realized, like, everything we see is actually what we see in ourselves, because we can see one person and see totally different things in the person, because it's a reflection of us actually. Like what's resonating. Yeah, exactly. That's 100% true. It's the mirror effect. So, you know, I saw myself in that sense as a king, and I saw me on, like, I was in the mountains, 2,200 meters up, you know, high, tripping, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, wow, look, man, this is my world. I can do anything I want, you know, like, just from a loving place. Like I come from a loving place, so this world is all yours, everyone, you know. And sometimes you got to distance yourself from the world like you're living in, the system you're living in, to see what also exists, and how life is not what you've been taught or what you've been seeing, because what you've been seeing is just this reality around you. So I saw this for the first time, and then I was also connected to the warrior, a sense of like, I want to move. I felt like a lion. I don't know, I cannot explain it to you. I felt this energy coming through me where I like wanted to do, and at the same time I also felt the magician in me, and I felt very connected to the magician, like in the ways of like I move, I talk, and like this, you know, the poncho and everything I wear and everything, like it kind of adds to it, and I feel that. And then the lover is like the music part, the poet part, you know, like all these, like an admiration and the beauty of the little things and the beauty in people, seeing the beauty in people and everything, and all these things came to me in that moment without me realizing it. What I really realized, like the lover I was not really aware of, but the king, the warrior, and the magician, like I felt like a wizard, you know. And these moments I would like sit in San Marcos even later and feel these things, but I didn't know about any of these like stuff that I teach now, or like, you know, what I share with the people now. That's amazing. So you had like you were experiencing it like without knowing it first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started researching
Mhm.
because I wanted to know more about this.
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, I've done then different like microdosing and all these different things like
Mhm.
to figure out, okay, what is this? It's teaching me something. I want to learn more. And through this process, I learned, and then I came to this, the Carl Jung. He's a Swiss psychologist, and his teachings is like he has these archetypes: the king, warrior, magician, lover. It's teachings from him.
Mhm.
And then I got like deeper into him. I studied his teachings,
Mhm.
and that's when like everything made click to me. Like, oh, this is what I felt in this moment, you know. And it's crazy how like this mushroom showed it to me, you know. Then this is when I'm like, okay, I felt this before actually when I was a kid too, but I got away from it because of society. Because society made me feel like, oh, who do you think you are? Why do you think you're so special? You know, and everybody is special.
Yeah, we
But
all are special.
they forget, or we tend to forget that because of society, because they make us be like, oh no, just do this. Don't try something new. Just do this. This is what we've always done. This is what we always should do. Just keep doing this. And you know, I just realized, yo, I've had this already in me. And this is what has been, to the people I was attractive to, like for men, like friends or women, or just kids and everything. Like what is that that's causing the people to like me and to like attract me? Is these energies that I carry in me. So, you know, I just figured, okay, this is how you become like a good man, like a good man that is, you feel good all the time. Because you know you're living from your heart and you're doing these things from a heart in a good place. But also at the time you see how people perceive you and how people receive you and the respect that they get, like have for you, and how people move around you. So then I see men that are like trying this, but from a different way, because they have not been shown this other way. They have not seen this way. They want to be kings. They want to be a good lover, but they don't know which, like, you know, it comes from an ego perspective and it's possessed by the ego rather than channeling these and serving the people around you. So,
but how do you, wow, it seems like such a difficult task to do though. Like, how do you make the difference? Like,
possessed or serving, you mean? So, you know, like in the king, for example, the king energy, the possessed energy is when you start to identify yourself as the king and say like, there's nothing better than you. And it becomes like the tyrant. So it's like political leaders, for example, today that are, you know, being controlling and thinking like nothing cross, like they have the true say and they're not serving the people, right? When you are not possessed by it, like you understand like this energy is here for the people around you. Like I was saying, the king is here to serve his realm, protect his realm, take care of his realm, and like give them the blessing and look that this prosper.
Yeah, I think what would be helpful now is actually to describe the 4 archetypes. Yeah, so we know what we're actually talking about.
Okay.
Or our listeners know also what we're talking
I
about.
think it's better, like I'll say one and then you can ask some more questions and then we can go for the next ones. I think it's easier this way. So yeah, the king, like I said, is like, you know, it's about, first of all, it's like in these circles, for example, it's important to see other men. So there's like 2 ways that a king can manifest in your life, or the 2 things that a king should do is like, you know, one is like having order in himself. So the order means like being calm, understanding, and having this grounded energy. So when you're around people, you're grounded and people feel that groundedness, because a king always acts from a calm place, you know, and not like stressed and acting out of emotions, for example. And he's also looking to serve and like protect his people. So like, you know, if you have this king energy in you, you should, like, when you're walking down the street and you see something happening, you should be like, you should do something about it, you know, and not just turn your eye and go, keep going. Also like protecting women. Like if you see something happen somewhere, like in a club or somewhere where like, you know, you think like a woman is not feeling well, you know, it's like in that sense, like, you know, check that guy. Like you don't have to go be violent or anything, but just, you know, like that is like type like protecting, like in today's society. But like understanding from like a kingship, it's like, you know, protecting your people, taking care of the women in your life, taking care of the kids, the people. A king is a good father. He takes time to go and see his son's football match. He takes time to see his sisters daughter's ballet lessons or classes. You know, like he takes time out of the day to service people and is centered in that. You know, that is for him very important. And one of the important things also is like to see other men. As a good king, you should see the potential in other men and see where they're good and what they're good at and tell this to them, because being seen is like first place for transformation for a young man. You know, a young man without guidance is going to be lost and like go into troubles and find ways or cope with these things, you know, be it drugs and anything over abusing substances or whatever it is. And you can like see it and see like, oh, this, you're good at this, like your confidence, man, you can use that to channel that into this. And when it comes from a man that has this king calmness state, it actually goes to them, and then they start understanding it, and then they start shifting, and it's like chemical reactions in the body for this person too that makes them feel good. So it's like, you know, it's just seeing them and the potential, and then be like, yeah, you're great at this, keep pursuing this. And like that is something that we as men, awakened men that are working on themselves, should do for the younger generation. And men that, it doesn't have to be younger, like I've had this with men that are older than me too, where I see like they're amazing at this, but they don't see it. They still have this inner doubt in them. So just being able to be like, hey, come here, you're really good at this, man, you should pursue this, keep going, you're better at this, like don't think it, like, you know, because I can tell and see if I watch people, and then just telling them, and that shifts. 3 days later, like, yo, you're right, man, you're right, I should do more of this.
Wow, so beautiful. Yes. Like, cheers to more kings. Yeah, I love that description of it. Like you were saying before, something like, you know, that a lot of men think that they are the kings. Like that's like a big wish for men. You know, a lot of men want to be the king, you know. It's like, it's a big word. Like, of course, we all, you know, women want to be queens, men want to be kings. I mean, it's a good wish to have. But like, how to come from that place that you were describing. Like, it's this divine king energy, not like this shadow side, like you were touching a little bit before, like how to know that it's this possession or ego game of being a king.
Well, I mean, that's in this podcast, I think it would be going way too deep into these things. But I mean, you will realize like the both shadow aspects is, one is the tyrant, they say, and one is the weakling. And the weakling is the one that just didn't receive enough recognition or anything when they were like young, so they like take themselves back in situations like this. They don't go in front, like they would never you know, take the lead in something. They're just following around in a sense and haven't found themselves yet. And the tyrant is, like I said, you know, they come from a very ego place, like, oh, I'm the king, like you got to listen to what I say, like I am, you know, like I said, the biggest difference is the king in his fullness, he serves. The king as a tyrant, he takes, he thinks, this is my possession, this is the women, for example, these are my possession. Like when he's in a relationship, he can be abusive, for example, you know, towards the women, abusive towards the kids, and these are things, these are like when he thinks, like, you know, but the weakling can be this too, because the weakling then finds this, like, that's why these two shadow sides, they kind of sometimes what's the word for that, they like go from one to one, because the weakling can become the tyrant, because the weakling bursts and becomes a tyrant, because he wants to have it, and then at home he's a tyrant, because he cannot be the king outside, you know, all these things. But it's deeper, like it's we can't go that deep here, but I'm like so happy you're giving this overview. Of course. Yes, I think it serves a lot of men. That's our purpose today. But happy. It's beautiful. Yes, a hope for the king energy. So beautiful. But what was also interesting, we were talking about serving, but you said in the beginning it's about focus, right, or order? Yes, for king, the order in yourself, and like following an order. So for example, for the people, like, you know, are all the religious books and everything, they're like based on these different archetypes, because it's like all these old tales also, like, you know, maybe Lord of the Rings, there's like kings in there, there's magicians in there, there's warriors in there. All these big movies, you'll see all these different archetypes kind of played out. And we have this like in those books, like in the Bible and all these other books in Hinduism and all these different religions, Buddhism, Taoism. There's different ways that they kind of put it through. Today we lost the touch to that, and we feel like it's just dogma. We have to follow these things, and this is like the right way and nothing else. But it's like so much more deeper. And if you look at it, they talk about the right order in the Bible, and they talk about dharma in Hinduism, and Tao, they talk about the Tao, which means the way, and that is the way of life in a sense. And I mean, it's very, I couldn't go in details of these things, but it's like very the ways of living to be prosperous. I mean, these are like, you know, we can go back to the habits that we were talking about before. You know, those things, like if you are prosperous in your life and you feel good, you're grounded and everything, the kingdom around you is prosperous and full of life, and everything is growing. People around you are growing. You're building amazing things. But if you are not, you know, then the kingdom around you is gonna, like, it's gonna vanish, and it's nobody's gonna survive in that kingdom in that sense. So you don't have a kingdom in a way, and you're not a king because you don't have that energy with you. So
and is like order important there? Like it helps or focus, or what's the?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of finding your way, you know, like who are you serving? Like, you know, as a king, you serve, like I said, you serve the people, but they used to believe back in the day, you're like, the king is the God sent one, is the closest to the God energy, to the Father energy. So you are basically channeling this, like the universal, you know, people don't maybe like using God or whatever. It's a universal energy that the king is like in the center, you know, of your world. You're in the center of your world. Now you're using this external energy, channeling it through you and giving to your people, basically. And that's what the order in that sense is, like knowing what is that you're following, what is your belief, what is your faith, what is that, you know? Like we can go into religious beliefs or whatever it is, or like your beliefs.
Because there's so many different people in the world. We can like, there's so much to serve.
Exactly, and that's why there's so many kingdoms, and it's okay. There's not like one kingdom, you know. There's like different kingdoms, different ways of kingdom. But the basics of every king is what I've described before. Is serving your people, basically. And seeing potential in other men, make them knights, make them like, you know. Yeah. That's the thing that you do.
Beautiful. So the second one is warrior.
Well, second one would be warrior. The warrior, they talk about, I mean, that is the one that is in today's society very suppressed in a way by men, because of different movements that have been happening that had made men step back. Because today is hard for a man maybe to express his true feelings without being, in a way, judged or like said, hey, that's toxic, you shouldn't be this way. And that's why it's really crazy, but in these men's circles, that's the favorite topic people like to talk about, because they want to let it out somewhere. Because when they let it out somewhere else, the people are like, oh, this is toxic, or this is bad, and no, you know, you should calm yourself down, and this, you know. No, but that's the thing, like the king is a calm energy, but the warrior is a fiery energy, the go-getter, the one that goes into battle, and a man needs that. You cannot suppress that energy. And that's how kingdoms were built, with warriors, you know, that were there also. And that's how anything was built, you know, like in a sense, like you need that fiery doer energy that goes and get it. And sometimes you need that to be like, you know, like for me, you know, we talked about my last podcast how I make music. And one of the things in that is like, I like to be competitive when I make music, because it's, for me, a competitive thing, like, but it's not personally against anyone, but it's a sport, it's an art that I do that I like to be competitive in, and that's where the warrior energy comes out for me. When I step on the mic, it's a warrior energy usually. Of course the lover comes into, you know, and like all these things, but I like to go into the warrior because it gives me the feeling of, I don't know, going into battle in a way. And I think every man needs that way, some way of putting that out there, because that also belongs to this archetype. It's not just king, magician, and lover. The warrior is also there, and that is something that we have inside of us. And the warrior, in like modern ways to view it would be like disciplined, like for example, and like you serve a high order. Like you have to know who you're serving, or like it's always about serving people or serving whatever, because it's never about you. That's what we have to like understand in these archetypes. It's never you being the warrior. You know, you're channeling this in that moment to do it, and to do whatever needs to be done in that moment. And the warrior is the one that, you know, if you set, for example, that is the one that is doing my semen retention, you know, being able to get up in the morning and work out. Like I set myself things and I'm also executing on these things. And that is the warrior.
Yeah, discipline is a big word
Exactly.
here, I think. Yeah.
Exactly. And also understanding, like when you have a big mission, right? As a man, maybe you have a mission to like, you know, I'm doing these men's circles and I have like other bigger visions that I would like to do. And every man has like his vision or mission, whatever that is. And that should be his highest purpose in his life, that mission and nothing else. And as a warrior, you need to learn to get rid of your emotions. And that is one of the things. You're emotionally detached to everything else to be able to go into that, but in a healthy way. What I mean by that, like the shadow parts is, for example, what we see in war and everything. The warrior that it goes into war. And that's one of the things, like the shadow parts made people suppress this energy, because the shadow parts was there and it showed how brutal it is. Like what happened in genocides and wars and everything around the world is also the warrior energy, but it's a shadow. It's very cruel, you know, and very hurtful, and also no emotions. But this way, what I mean by no emotion is like knowing that what you're doing is not because it's emotionally triggered. Anything like the action you do, what you're like, let's say you're building a business and now your competitor is doing something, you shouldn't go emotionally, oh, because he's doing it, I want to do the same thing, or like I want to beat him, so let me just go. That's emotionally, you know. Always keeping in your back of the head that what is your mission? My mission is to do this. So even if this guy's doing this, I'm following my mission.
It's like knowing your goal and going for it, taking action and being like disciplinary about it.
Yeah.
Not
Definitely.
like following your emotions or
Exactly.
going here and there and I don't know, like
Exactly.
losing your focus.
And also not being distracted by, for example, the people in your life. You know, be it parents, your spouse, girlfriend, friends, like emotionally. Like knowing that's your mission and nobody else has to understand. The warrior, you know, that's where the others come in. The lover and everything is a different, like that's the opposite of all these things in a way. But the warrior, you still have to do it, like, you know, go to war.
Like you need to know when to use it, like when is the warrior necessary, like when do you need to like be in warrior energy, right?
I mean, all of it is always there, and the most successful way would be to incorporate all four at the same time. Is like when you like, you know, I mean, when you in the fullness of all four, then you're like basically, you know, it's amazing because you're ready to execute. You're also serving people. You're also connected to the spiritual wisdom. You have a lot of wisdom, and you're also in the lover. So like you have all these things, you know, at the same time. So it's not about like having only one at a time. It's cool to have all of them actually.
But isn't it so that for certain like tasks or situations, one needs to like be a bit more dominant? Like, I mean, if you're at home with your woman, I don't know if you need the warrior that much. Or if you're like going after your goal, if you need the magician so much, for example, or the lover in this case. We're getting there, but
I think you need all of it. I mean, that's where, you know, like everybody has different maybe interpretations and beliefs of that. But I do believe in every situation, all of it is present. Maybe one you say is active in this particular second or in this particular moment, but to be able to like be a good warrior, you have to also be a good lover, because that's when you come out of compassion, you know, and love. Still, like even though you're emotionless in a way as a warrior, the lover balances it out. You know, so you do need all of it at like the same time, because if you only have one, then it becomes like too
destructive.
Yeah,
it can go in the shadow in a way, like you were explaining.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it balances out in a way, all of it.
Okay, interesting. And what is the third one?
Magician. And the magician there's two ways to the magician. today we live in a world of magicians,
Mhm.
in the sense of technology, because the magicians of this world have built technology. The magician is basically the person that has a lot of knowledge and channels knowledge, and
Mhm.
can bring that knowledge into like manifest something through that knowledge. So a lot of technology today, everything from the iPhone to anything that we have,
Mhm.
is through magicians.
Mhm.
So that is one way. And the other way is the spiritual way, the spiritual wisdom. And that is something that in today's society now is coming up more and more and more because we need it. But it has been very in the back, like nobody's really looking at it. At least in Western society. In Eastern societies, you still have like a lot of like these rituals and stuff going.
Mhm.
And it's very important for a young boy to have these rituals to like become a man in a sense. This is what my work and where I see myself going in the next years is more and more like doing ritual based stuff to also for younger generations, for them to like tap into this mature masculine energy
Mhm.
early in life. So
Mhm.
I mean that is the best way to make a better world for
Mhm.
us in the future,
Mhm.
is have more masculine, mature masculine men.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, because
Totally
that
support.
allows for mature masculine women too. It's like both, like of course
Mhm.
women have to work on it too, just not men.
Yeah.
But I believe that men have been on autopilot coasting because a lot of things, it's like we focus, like if you watch the media every day you think the world is going to shit because we focus on so much stuff that is like really not helpful to heal and be healthy masculine. And yeah, so I think coming back to the magician, yeah, it's like the wisdom you have in knowing the magician also has this the understanding of spiritual stuff, like the energies that flow through you, like doing breath work and all these things and understanding that more, and then being able to also give to other people. The magician is also a very good like when we talk back to the kingdom, the kingdom, the king sometimes needs like a right hand or someone to kind of be like, yo, you're too much in your ego right now. You're too much. You're like, you got check yourself. Like he's the one that kind of maybe checks the king sometimes and be like, hey, are you sure? Like asks the right question without kind of hurting his ego, so the king kind of understands. Okay, maybe he's right. I shouldn't have to. So that is the one that reflects also. Like he's the one that can sit back, the magician, and reflect.
It's a little bit like this wise man.
Yeah.
Like a wizard.
Yeah, exactly.
Wise old.
Yeah, exactly.
Magician.
It is exactly
knowledge,
that.
yeah.
Like when we talk about Lord of the Rings, it's like Gandalf, or what's his name? Yeah. Yeah, basically,
Yeah. But
like,
what is the shadow side there?
the manipulator. Yeah.
Okay.
When you use your knowledge to manipulate other people instead of serving other people. Yeah. And right now I'm not sure about the weak version of that, like when you're not identified with it, what it's called, but it's the other one is like when you you don't like other people that have wisdom and you hate on them, and you like stand in the way and everything, and like you talk them down all the time. That guy, he's not that really that good. I mean, he's good at this, but he's not the best. Like you talk them down, and that again can become the manipulator, because then he becomes talking people down. Everything becomes to manipulate people around him and everything. Yeah.
And the last one,
lover. The lover is my favorite. Well, no, they're all. I mean, they all become my, in a way, the favorite. I think the most triggering, in a sense, was the warrior. Because like I said, in our society today, it's like it's not good to go into that warrior energy. Or like, it's hard for men to go into that and understand it's okay to be a little man, aggressive sometimes, and use that aggression for good. Not in a bad way.
I guess it's about how you're using it. Because in a way we were saying that you kind of become emotionless, like you go after your goal. It's not about like being, I don't know, angry or aggressive to others, or it's not like, why is it like having this bad feeling around it? Is like, if you think you're a warrior, I don't know, hurting other people, like we're saying, it's about like
the bad feeling comes from like, I support feminism as the sense of like equal rights, and like it was very clear, like my mom, like I'm the eldest, I have a brother and then a sister, and my mom would not let me tell anything to my sister. She's like, yo, listen, if you do it, your sister does it too. Like if you go out, she goes out. If she do this, she like everything was so like that. Like my mom was like it's a strong woman, and she like does her shit and like she lays down the law. And so I was raised in this household, but the thing is like through the feminism, like I think a lot of men. I mean, look in the high places. There's a lot of immature masculine people. That's why the world is the way it is in a way, because they like serve from these tyrant shadow places.
Yeah.
So I get that there we have to do some changes, but you can't, at least I believe, like you cannot go and change these people. You have to change the society that starts to perceive these things a different way, to make these decisions, to have different people up there, or build your own system or society and slowly, prosper. And at least from the men's circles and what I see and hear from people and what I read and research, a lot of men feel like they can't be themselves, because as soon as they're themselves, there's women out there, using the feminist tag, like the feminist label, going after these men, saying like, hey, listen, like there's even like I had people tell me like, why are you doing men's circle? Why is it important for men to be alone? And like, what are you gonna do? Like, we're in the society of everybody's equal and stuff. Like like they don't. And this is the problem. Like, and I have to be like, no, but I'm doing this. But I'm confident. I'm like, I really don't care what your opinion is about it. Like, you can go and talk to a wall from like really in that sense, like I know what I'm on my mission in this, and I'm sure about it. I listen, I'm open, and I learn. I'm always learning. But if you repeat the same things and you don't really have an argument, you just want to argue. It's like some people that I've experienced it with, it's hard. So some men just block off because they're like, okay, if I open my mouth, I'm just getting shitted on.
Yeah.
And so just be by myself.
You kind of back off, you know. Like you lose the warrior, like.
Yeah, you lose the warrior.
Yeah,
you become very weak and like back, and you're like, okay, whatever,
Or toxic.
And then it comes out in the wrong places, maybe in relationships.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm totally for it. I think men really need their own time and like their own circles. Like I love like mixed circles too, but the energy is very different. Like for men, women, and then the mixed, like it's very different. We can't deny it. Like I'm totally on the same page, and I think we need men to step more into their masculine. Like,
I definitely believe that. This is one of the reasons. Like I had women come to me like, "Hey, can you do one that's included women?" And I would love to. Like I want to include women, and like there's a lot of stuff that I do, like breath works and meditation, and just the things I talk about that's also very important for women. But at the same time, I understand men because I'm a man, and I just know that some men, not everyone is ready to talk in front of women. For example, they want a safe space where they feel hugged and held. And I can be that space. So I want to give that space, and let's see what the future holds. Like I'm ready to do unity circles where I'm like,
but I think it's very different. Like men being with men, it creates such a different energy than men being mixed with women. Like if you can feel very safe and very held, but it's very different energy. Even the moment one woman enters the room, like the energy is very different.
Because we're primal, like we're animals in a sense too.
Yeah.
And we have these animal instincts, and as a woman enters a room, men become to be a little competitive subconsciously. They want to show them for the best behavior. Yeah. And they're not like 100% authentic. And with men, even there it's hard sometimes to be authentic because you don't want to show yourself as weak. Yeah. But that's why I try to create the space over weeks to make them feel safe in this space. But I would like to actually ask you, like, do you feel also when it's just a woman's circle, it's a different energy?
Yeah, very different. Very different. And I think it's very necessary. I think it's even necessary for women to step into their power with women. It's kind of safer. Like you can really explore all the aspects of being a woman. And then when you mix it with men, you already have it in you. Like you can access it easier in a way. So I would say like, you can always do them simultaneously, but I think it's so important to like really know and feel what it is to be a woman. 100%. And then like mix it with men, and because it's a different dynamic. The moment you go into the relationship with the opposite sex, it's like different dynamic comes out. but then it's super good if you know who you are or who you're playing with or which archetype you want to be in, like with the person.
Yeah.
It's very different. Very different.
Yeah. I would like to go like I see visions of it, you know, in the future where when I would like to also go deeper into the women's psychology, because I think that's something that men also want to understand, and we have these conversations. And like, I mean, I have my experience in knowing, but I would also like to learn some more deeper depth of that, so that I love psychology. I come from sales, and like I love sales psychology and how the human brain works. So this is just a little add-on, and I want to understand the women, and then you know, I feel like I can host more stuff that are really like both can profit, where it's like it's practices to like kind of understand both our energies.
And then like how to combine them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I believe it's all about being authentic. In a way, it shouldn't change between like men and women, but it's very difficult to stay authentic like with the opposite sex. Then it's just much easier to find your balance and tune into yourself in the beginning if you haven't done the work with yourself, and then you can really stay true to yourself also, like
exactly,
you know, with men, because I really believe it shouldn't be very different, but like just to find yourself and tune in with yourself, it's easier to be. But different energies come into play, yeah, also. Like with men, I think there's much more, you know, the warriors, the king. Like with women, it's much more like love and mother energy that can be nurturing, you know.
I just wanted to say that even I think from Carl Jung, I have only scratched the surface of this topic, but I want to go there further. But it's like there's very similar, the archetypes. So what I just talked about, we have to come back to the lover. I didn't forget that yet. But the biggest change is the warrior. Like, how is it for the men very important? For the women, it's the mother energy. For in the place of the warrior comes the mother, and that is also what in society for the women has been suppressed a lot. Like being like, you know, the mother. But like I said, I don't want to go too deep there, because I want to like also understand it more before I talk on it. Yes.
But let's talk about the lover.
Exactly. So the lover, I mean, how it says is first of all the sexual energy. So the love energy that you share with your woman is one of it, and the other thing is also the love like you see in everything in life, because there's love in everything. Love is the highest frequency, and being able to see that in nature, in animals, in like everything, like anything that is, you know, even like a product that's made, like a furniture, there's love put into that furniture by creating it, and seeing these small things, the beauty of things in life. And that's how the poet is born, the artist is born, you know, like the actor, like these are like creative endeavors, and everything is the lover, because he comes from the lover aspect, and also having compassion, understanding that this person is just going through something, and that's why he's acting this way, you know, and this is like the lover. It's very basic in that sense. And coming back to that sexual energy is as a man, and we talked about the semen retention and all these things, it's really about knowing that you're enough as a man. Because not having that performance anxiety as a man. And when you start to know that you're enough, and that's not always easy, because it really depends on the women, because some women they give you that feeling of you not being enough, even though they don't mean to. But it's the way that they carry their self, and maybe it's that not dropping enough into that feminine energy. And then if you're as a man cannot be too much in that masculine, like lead her into that feminine energy, then you're gonna have a little bit of a
clash there.
Yeah. And then you as a man don't feel maybe man enough. And I think a lot of the relationships sometimes fail just because of that, because of like the man not feeling man enough, and the woman not like dropping into the feminine too much in the masculine sometimes.
Definitely.
And so these things are like very important, you know, like to understand that, like the sexual energy, that the man, if he feels he's enough as sex, like as a how do you say it, like not a sex symbol, but like a lover. As a lover, he will become a great lover and a great person. And
is there a shadow side to it?
Well, there's so one of the things in these all four, and the lover especially, is like when you are attached to your mom as a man, and that is something that comes from as a kid. You're the mama's boy. They call it as when you're in the boy stage, and if you kind of not have let go of that, then you still carry it around. And as long as you have this woman in your life, it's hard to have another woman in your life. But I'm not talking about like physically having her in your life.
Yeah.
You know, just like in their consciousness. And one of the things is you use the warrior kind of to cut ties with that relationship. You have to destroy that in a sense of, you know, that the mama's boy relationship, and be your own man, because you have to destroy it to become your own man. As long as you don't destroy that, as use that warrior energy to destroy that in a sense, because the warrior destroys and rebuilds. That is what the warrior has to, like, one of the things that he does. And as long as you don't do that, you're gonna always be her son in a sense, and not your own man. And you have to become your own man. And that is also, I think, a hard point for a lot of men to see. I had to go through these things too, and I see it more and more. Like reading this book and going deeper is like always like revealing new layers of my things, you know, and I'm working on it. Like, okay, that's where I got to work on now. And yeah, so that is definitely like some shadow aspects of the lover.
Yeah, and I believe that's such a great learning a magician can come out there are the group works. Like, I so much love group works because we can always learn from other people too. Like all the stories that they're sharing, like there's so much wisdom in one room. And if you're open to it, you can just like accelerate your growth like so much.
Definitely.
Like, yeah, so powerful, those sharings. Well, thank you for sharing. Is there something you feel you would like to share? Did something stay that wants to come out?
I mean, thank you very much for having me. And I mean, I think it's really amazing that, was it March? No, February, end of February. We had a podcast. So what is it? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October.
8 months.
8 months later, we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot has shifted, a lot, you know, and I love that I can share it with you here and in your space. And I get to see this space, and also thank you for hosting me in general, and like, you know, making this available for me, because I had a lot of learnings. And I think, you know, that's one of the things we have to just try and learn and just do, and always hold like good in your heart. Like, I just want to, you know, I feel good when I do good, so I do good. And I think that's what if everybody would just do good, this world would be an amazing place. Yeah. Filled with love, and we would just put it. But I get it. I mean, it's hard to put our egos aside and everything, because if you're in it, it's hard to get out. Sometimes you need to make that step back. And yeah, so I was fortunate enough to do it, and I'm fortunate enough to be here, share this to the people. And yeah, I will do, like, you know, in the future, like I said, I will do men's circles and different circles. So I wish that listeners of this podcast, maybe in Estonia too one day, like I would love to visit Estonia again.
Yes, in summer.
Yes.
We can do the combined ones.
Yes, we can do combined circles. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do stuff like this, you know. And by that time, you know, you do your circles now, which is pretty cool. So we will have grown by then again. So it'll be amazing.
Another 8 months forward.
Yeah, and another 8 months forward. Another 12 months, who knows, when we see each other. But, you know, that'd be amazing to do stuff together.
I love it. Like, I'm going around and I'm hearing like, yeah, Ajith is such a great guy, like coming from Heart Space. So funny. Estonia is so small, you know. Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're spreading the light, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. And I'm really thankful that you, like, you know, you made this happen in a way, because without you, I wouldn't be here in Estonia in general. And like, what I've learned now is like, I'm ready to go execute big time, and it feels really nice, you know. This is the part of the learning and teaching. I didn't know, like we had in our last episode, our last podcast too, like, I didn't know what I was awaiting, or like what was awaiting for me. I just did it, and those 9 months happened, and growth happened, and now I came here. These 2 months happened, growth happened. I just love it, and I think this is life, you know. I just keep on going and growing, sharing, and
trusting.
Yeah, and loving the process. I love I really do love the process. It's been a big mind like a shift in my mind, a game changer for me. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
And thank you for all the audience
Yes, thank you for
listening.
listening.